Gold light pours across marble, perfume thick as honey, harps, laughter, the murmur of silk on stone. You could mistake it for heaven until you hear the first scream. In the palaces of the ancient world, pleasure and cruelty shared the same table. Kings and emperors didn't simply rule, they performed. Every feast, every hunt, every game was a stage on which power proved itself through pain. These are the deadly games of ancient royalty. Imagine standing in the heart of the Roman Colosseum. The air hums with tension. Dust rises in slow spirals, catching the sun like gold. 50,000 faces lean forward, waiting. And then the gates open. Out steps the Emperor Commodus. He should be wearing the purple of state, the wreath of Caesar. Instead, he's dressed as a gladiator. Bronze greaves, lion-skin cloak, wooden sword polished until it gleams. The crowd falls silent. They know what this means. When the emperor plays at war, real men die. He lifts his sword toward the senators in the front row, smiling. "Applaud your God," he says. The words echo off stone. Behind him, guards shove a line of prisoners into the sunlight. They're farmers, rebels, slaves, anyone unlucky enough to offend him. Commodus steps forward, makes a lazy cut, and the first man falls. The crowd gasps, then claps out of fear. Blood on the sand, gold in the emperor's eyes. He kills another, and another. It isn't skill, it's theatre. He believes he's Hercules reborn, protector of Rome, yet he's turned the empire into his private circus. By nightfall, the arena smells of iron and sweat. The emperor drinks wine, laughing as attendants drag corpses away. He forces the senators to cheer louder. Those who don't will join tomorrow's performance. Rome calls it entertainment. His courtiers call it divinity. But they whisper another truth. The empire is bleeding with every show. Commodus's madness escalates. He renames the months after himself. He demands the Coliseum be called the Commodian Arena. He dreams of slaughtering Rome's elite in one grand spectacle and repopulating the city with slaves. Instead, his trainer Narcissus strangles him in his bath. The emperor who imagined himself a god dies gasping like one of his victims. His marble statues are smashed. His name is struck from every inscription. The crowd finally gets its silence. Shift east. The desert breathes heat like a furnace. On the horizon rides King Bahram Gur of Persia, falcons perched on his wrists, cheetahs trotting beside his horse. Behind him trail soldiers, poets, and musicians. It looks like a royal parade. It isn't. It's a hunt, and the prey are human. The condemned have been released into the dunes. They run barefoot across the burning sand, stumbling toward mirages that promise water. Bahram watches through narrowed eyes. To him, this isn't cruelty. It's ceremony. The king must show he commands life itself. He gives the signal. The falcon launches, a flash of bronze against the sky. Arrows whistle. A man falls. Bahram rides past, loosing another shot for sport. The poets applaud, scribbling verses about divine courage. The bodies bake in the sun. Later, at camp, the king feasts on roasted lamb while musicians play. The smell of death mingles with cinnamon and wine. His courtiers toast to victory. Though they can barely swallow, they know the truth. Tomorrow, one of them might be chosen for the game. Legends say Bahram's appetite for the hunt became endless. He released captives into valleys filled with lions. He forced lovers to chase each other through the night while torches followed, betting on who would fall first. His kingdom learned to smile through fear. And then, one evening, Bahram rode into the desert alone, following the tracks of a white gazelle said to be sacred. He never returned. Some said he'd been taken by the earth itself, swallowed by the sands as punishment for spilling too much blood. Others whispered he'd found a place where no prey ever ran, and couldn't live without the chase. Now cross to India, the marble city of Fatehpur Sikri, glittering beneath the noon sun. Emperor Akbar the Great reclines on a throne carved from jade. Below him spreads a courtyard tiled in black and white squares 40 feet wide. A chessboard fit for a god. But the pieces aren't carved from ivory. They breathe. Men painted gold and soot, dressed in silks, stand trembling on the squares. Each represents a piece. Pawns with wooden shields, knights on horseback, queens in jeweled masks. When Akbar moves a piece, a man walks. When one captures another, they fight with real blades. Drums thunder. The crowd chants the emperor's name. 2 pawns clash. One falls, blood staining the stone. Akbar nods, murmuring about destiny. Every soul has its place, he says. The courtiers laugh nervously. For Akbar, the game is philosophy. To control the board is to control fate. But to the men dying beneath his gaze, it's execution disguised as genius. Chroniclers later wrote that the emperor's mind sought order in chaos. Maybe. Or maybe he just enjoyed watching the pattern of blood on marble. He plays until sunset. The final move. The Black Queen drives her sword into the Golden King's chest. The emperor claps. "Checkmate," he says. Servants drag the bodies away and scrub the squares clean for tomorrow's match. The empire calls it art. History calls it madness. Occasionally, Akbar replaced the fighters with dancers or courtiers, forcing ministers to reenact famous battles. No one dared win against him. Losing was expected, and living was a privilege. The message was clear. In Akbar's empire, even leisure reminded you who owned your life. Now west again, to France. January 1393. The Louvre glows with torchlight, music spilling into the frozen night. King Charles VI hosts a masquerade for his queen. The nobles wear masks of beasts and angels. 6 young lords, including the king, have chosen a darker theme. They call themselves the Wild Men. They appear covered head to toe in flax soaked in pitch, their faces hidden beneath fur and masks. They look half animal, half demon. The court roars with delight. No one notices that their costumes are tinder waiting for a spark. Enter the king's brother, the Duke of Orléans, late and drunk, torch in hand. He stumbles forward, laughing. "Who are these monsters?" he shouts, waving the flame. Someone cries out, "Keep back!" Too late. The torch brushes one dancer's arm. Fire erupts. The flax flares like oil. In seconds, the hall becomes an inferno. The wild men scream, running through the crowd, spreading flames to gowns and banners. The smell of burning hair and flesh fills the air. The queen faints. Servants hurl wine on the fire. It only spreads it further. Charles is saved by chance. The Duchess of Berry throws her skirts over him, smothering the flames. The others die writhing on the floor, blackened and silent. When the last embers fade, the king stares at their remains and begins to laugh. A high, broken sound that doesn't stop. From that night, his mind unravels. He forgets his own name, refuses to bathe, insists he's made of glass. The French court hides its shame behind velvet curtains while the kingdom fractures around him. One masquerade ball, one careless torch, and France slides toward decades of war. Across Rome, Persia, India, and France, the pattern is the same. Power turns cruelty into ritual. Each ruler believed pain confirmed divinity. They were gods in their own minds, and games were their proof. Yet these spectacles tell a deeper story. In every empire, entertainment mirrored the ruler's soul. Commodus needed worship, Bahram needed blood, Akbar needed order, Charles needed illusion. Their games weren't accidents, they were confessions. Walk through their ruins today and you can still feel it. In Rome, the Colosseum's arches whisper with ghosts. In Persia's deserts, the wind sounds like galloping hooves. In Fatehpur Sikri, tourists trace faded stains on marble and call them rust. In Paris, the Louvre glitters, but beneath the gold leaf lies the memory of fire. Civilizations evolve, but the instinct behind the spectacle never dies. We still gather to watch contests of strength, to see winners and losers, to cheer when others fall. The difference is only the setting, the costumes, the distance between our comfort and someone else's pain. Every crown sits on a knife's edge. Every throne hides a stage. The ancient rulers believed that cruelty proved control. What it proved was fragility. Power that needs an audience is already cracking. The emperors, the kings, the sultans, they built arenas to prove their immortality. And yet, centuries later, we remember not their victories, but their games. The emperor strangled by his own servant, the king swallowed by sand, the philosopher emperor turning people into pawns, the mad monarch watching friends burn. History loves irony. Every ruler who played God ended up learning what every gladiator already knew. No matter how gilded the armor, everyone bleeds the same. These were the deadly games of ancient royalty. The prizes were kingdoms, the stakes were souls, and the audience, then as now, could never look away. If this story made you question what power really looks like, share it. Because the past doesn't repeat, it performs. Subscribe to Hidden by Time for more truths the empires try to bury. And remember, behind every celebration of glory, somewhere, someone was burning for it.